Welcome into today's video. We are getting right into 2026 mock drafts. I know it's January, but the people want it. They want to see what the landscape looks like for this next year. So we at FTR have generated an ADP bot to draft with us here because Sleeper is not ready yet for us degenerates that are already drafting. We have three FTR analysts, myself, Joe, and Steve, who's not on camera here, all drafting in this draft, joined by obviously those other bots in the draft. So today we're going to do a 12-team draft, one QB, two running backs, three wide receivers, two flex, and a tight end. So that is going to be the setup for our draft today. I am here at the top of the draft with the first pick, and I think that the number one overall pick in 2026 drafts, you let me know if you disagree with this, Joe, but I think that Puka is going to be the undisputed number
Yep.
one pick in drafts come draft season in August. He's had an exceptional season. I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to walk away from the game after this incredible possible MVP season he's had, and Puka has been central in that Rams success, having a historic season, and I think he's got even more in the tank for next year.
I completely agree with you. Matthew Stafford's definitely coming back for at least another year. Tom Brady was saying he could play into his 40s, which I'm not going to disagree with at this point. Matthew Stafford, I think, should be the MVP. But Puka Nakua has, for every season of his career, even when he was hurt last year, been unbelievable on a points per game, yards per game standpoint. I think he leads all time in NFL history in yards per game. So he's been, you know, so good in that McVay scheme on a consistent basis. He's my number one overall pick. Great pick there. It looks like Steve went with Bijan Robinson second overall. Makes total sense. He was amazing on the ground through the air. Probably the best running back in football down the stretch. What do you think of that pick?
Bijan is a great pick. If you want to go running back with your early pick here, then Bijan is the one to go with. Hopefully, this Falcons offense can get things together. And if Tyler Algier leaves in the offseason, he is a free agent, then Bijan could see an increase in his touchdown opportunities, which would make him have a possible like Christian McCaffrey type of ceiling, which would
Sure.
be incredible for fantasy.
Yeah, I totally agree. With my first pick, I'm going to go with a no brainer, in my opinion. He's my number three overall player, fell to me at number three, and that is Jamar Chase, wide receiver for the Bengals, obviously. A fantastic talent, produced over, I believe, 1,400 yards plus without Joe Burrow for a good chunk of the year. Was one of the, like, when you think of number one overall fantasy picks, a lot of them usually don't perform up to expectations. He was still a top five wide receiver easily this season. Pretty much performed to the expectation for what you thought he was going to be while having a backup quarterback in for most of the season. So, he's obviously a great yak threat, ridiculously athletic, and one of the most productive wide receivers in the league.
I think Joe Burrow is going to come back on a revenge tour next
Yeah,
season. I think the Bengals. I don't want to give them too much credit for being smart because they haven't acted that way recently. But I think even they know that they need to surround him with protection on the offensive line. And when doing so, that's even less capital they can spend on this defense.
yeah,
And if the Bengals just keep getting in shootouts, then Jamar Chase is going to have these crazy 15, 16, 17 target games.
yep.
And I don't know if anyone else has that type of ceiling that Chase has shown.
Yeah.
All right, now that the bots have gone through their picks, we can see when Jameer Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, JSN, Achan, Amon Ra, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Jonathan Taylor, and then at the turn, Team 12 here, James Cook, Rashi Rice. How do you feel, Joe, about this Rashi Rice situation? Do you think he'll be in the second round this high with all the news around him currently?
It's a tough situation to diagnose. I know I had him lower in my rankings than you and Steve did. I think I had him maybe in the 20s somewhere, and even that felt like a risk to me. There's been a lot of off-season, off-the-field stuff coming up about Rasheed Rice, so I tend to like to stay away from those guys, but that could end up biting me if he's not really given any kind of suspension by the NFL. The other question to consider is if Patrick Mahomes is going to be on the field week 1 or if he's not because of that ACL tear. So I think once we get more information, I'll be willing to move Rice further up my rankings based on how that works out with the NFL.
Yeah, Rice is a high risk, high reward situation here, and the risks are just piling on.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen what he can do when he is actually on the field, not suspended. And if Travis Kelsey retires, that's just more room to operate for Rice. So definitely will be one to follow over this offseason. After Rice, it went CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride going real early here after a great tight end season, Nico Collins, Ashton Genty, George Pickens, Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown, and Hampton going there right ahead of Joe's pick with a little bit of a running back run.
Yeah. I'm going to continue this running back run and take Derrick Henry. It was either him or Saquon Barkley, according to my rankings. I had Barkley just a spot lower, I think. But Henry coming off a near 1,600-yard rushing season, still averaging over 5 yards per carry. I'm not too concerned with the coaching change. He is still one of the league's elite running backs and now well over 30 years old, continuing to age super, super well. The power is not gone. He's still able to rip off those huge runs and break tackles. So at this point, it's kind of a question of when he's going to regress, and I'm taking the bet that it's not going to be this year.
Absolutely. Like, it's so hard to bet against Derrick Henry. A little bit of a slower start this season, but finished so strong. Like you said, had some really big games down the stretch, which he always seems to do.
Mm-hmm.
I keep wanting to bet on Henry having this decline, and we haven't seen it yet. I'm probably going to spend another year being a little lower than ADP on him, just
Sure.
because I don't want, especially in this range of the draft where there's so many good young players, ascending players. But Henry could again cause some issues for me. We see kind of the opposite running back strategy here with Steve taking Trevion Henderson, the young ascending running back. Definitely, he hasn't produced to that level yet, but there's definitely signs there. Now I am here on the turn. I love drafting at these turns because I see two guys on the board that I'm just super excited to take, and I get both of them. So I'm going to go against what happened at the end of this last year and still take Justin Jefferson. I still think the
Mm-hmm.
talent's there. I think things were getting better with JJ McCarthy. Just some injury issues that stopped that chemistry from really building. I think the Vikings will bring in a good veteran quarterback to right the ship if McCarthy can't get things together. But I still have some trust that McCarthy can be a solid NFL quarterback, and you don't have to be that good to help Justin Jefferson play better. And I think
Yeah.
with Kevin O'Connell having a whole offseason to figure out what went wrong there, I think things will improve significantly going into this next season. And then after taking two wide receivers, I'd like to get my top running back here left on the board, and that's Bucky Irving.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bucky Irving, another player. I got two players here that had some down seasons, but I expect some true bounce backs. This whole Buccaneers offense kind of had some struggles, but I think there is a lot of room for that offense to improve. And Bucky, once healthy, I think will be at the center of it again.
Yeah, I think he made two great picks there. Jefferson, I think there's no way he gets worse from this past season based on the quarterback situation. So it's only up from there. I think that's a solid pick. I have him ranked, around that spot. And Bucky Irving as well to pair with Jefferson. I think Irving's going to bounce back as well. There's going to be a new offensive coach in Tampa Bay, and I think that's only going to help the situation. I think I like those picks. The Henderson pick for Steve, just to go back to that to a second, I wasn't a huge fan of the pick. I think Ramondre may still be a little involved in that backfield, but the ceiling's obviously there for
I'm worried
sure.
about the same thing. I don't know if
Yeah.
Henderson will be a workhorse back enough. Obviously explosive, but I don't know if he'll get
Hmm.
enough touches to make that
Yeah.
second round pick worth it.
Ramondre is pretty solid if he can hold on to the ball. Fumbling is his main issue, but if he can hold on to the ball, I think he'll still be a factor. But Steve takes Olave there at the 3-2 with his next pick, who is, I mean, just lightning in a bottle to end the year. What do you think about that?
I'm a huge fan of Kellen Moore. I think he designed
Yeah.
some great offenses. We just saw what happened to this Eagles offense as soon as he left and went to the Saints. If he can get good things out of that Saints offense, what they had, another year for him to implement his system. I think Olave is just a premier wide receiver in this league, skill wise, talent wise. And now that he has a good play caller, I think things are on the up there in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'd agree. And with my next pick, I am shocked he's here. Maybe there's something wrong with my rankings. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley at the 3-3 in what seemed like a disaster year for the Philadelphia offense. Barkley still put up 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. Yeah, the efficiency was down. It didn't look great because the offensive play calling, was a lot of runs up the middle, to be honest. But Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, was fired today. I'm hoping that some better things are on the horizon for this Philadelphia Eagles offensive scheme. And we've seen the ceiling, we've seen the floor. If I'm getting something in the middle in this third round with Barkley, I'm very happy with the result.
Totally agree with you there. I probably have him a little too low in my rankings, but even with that, he's probably if not the next running back after Bucky Irving, in the next couple running backs
Sure.
for me. Uh, totally agree. I think I was down on Saquon coming to the season, that heavy workload. I didn't know after losing Kellen Moore if this offense would sustain what they did. Obviously, they didn't. I expect a bounce back from what we saw this past season from
Yeah.
Saquon and him to be in that RB1 conversation again. All right, now after Joe went with Saquon there, we have our quarterbacks are starting to come off the board. Josh Allen there with the fourth pick in the round, followed by Tet McMillan, Brock Bowers. We have our first rookie off the board, Jeremiah Love, the running back, followed by T. Higgins, Kyron Williams, Garrett Wilson, R.J. Harvey, and then at the turn, Brees Hall and Devontae Adams, followed by Egbuka. And then a good quarterback run here with Hertz, May, and Daniels all back to back. Waddle, another rookie off the board. This one being our first wide receiver, and that's Makai Lemon, followed by Quinshawn Judkins and another rookie wide receiver in Carnell Tate. Couple rookies off the board there. Also some quarterbacks. What do you think of the way that turn happened there, Joe?
Yeah, no surprise with the rookies, especially guys like Lemon and Tate. Tyson's my top rookie wide receiver. He is still on the board, but rookies are massively impactful every single year in fantasy. So there's no shock that they're going this high. And then with the quarterbacks, when you see Josh Allen off the board, obviously some teams are going to try to scramble for the other elite guys. So it really doesn't surprise me too much.
All right. Well, we have you here with your fourth pick with a
Yeah.
wide receiver and two running backs already off the board for your team. Who are you going here in your fourth pick?
Yeah, so after the guy I'm going to take, I kind of see a tier down. I'm going to triple dip in the running back pool here. The wide receiver, I was hoping, a couple wide receivers I was hoping would fall, did not end up doing that. So I'm going to take Travis Etienne here to be my RB3. Had a real bounce back season, put up 1,100 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 6 receiving touchdowns as well, averaging 4.3 yards per carry. And I think this Jaguars offense is going to resign him. I think another year in this Liam Cohen scheme is going to continue to do wonders for Etienne as well as Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be passing the football.
Yeah, Etienne here is a very interesting pick to me. I'm still a little worried about whether the Jags will re-sign him or not. We've seen Liam Cohen do great things with running backs in back-to-back seasons now, first with Bucky Irving, then the revitalization of Etienne. That makes me wonder, does he just see himself as having this ability to scheme up a good situation for a running back? Does he see Bayshaw Tootin as someone that they can build around and then bring in maybe a veteran to complement him? And
Sure.
not spend big money on Etienne. So that's still up in the air for me. Once I see Etienne actually sign with the Jaguars, I'll have him right up here. I won't have any
Yeah,
issues at that stage. It does look like we got another rookie off the board here.
that's Jordan Tyson for.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Tyson, like you said, your top wide receiver in this class. So that's those big three wide receivers in this incoming rookie class off the board. Obviously, we don't have landing spots yet, but extremely talented players and rookies can win leagues every
Yep.
single year. So not surprising to see him go there. I'm gonna keep it going here. And after that running back run, or sorry, that quarterback run, I get a little antsy, and I see one more dual threat quarterback that's
Nice.
elite available here, and that is Lamar Jackson.
Mm.
I know a lot of people are a little bit down on Lamar after this past season. Some injuries. We've seen some injuries over the year with Lamar. I think maybe a new coaching change, just a new season, him have an off season to get healthy. I still think Lamar is among the premier quarterbacks in the league. I have no problem with him going here after those first four, but I think he definitely is in that same tier. So I don't want to lose out on that great upside at quarterback. Is that someone that you would have been interested if he made it back around to you, Joe?
Yeah, Lamar was my next pick on the board. Actually, the last of those elite quarterback options. So that was a great pick there.
This is part of why we put each other all so close back to back in these drafts. It makes for these fun drafts where we get to take from each other, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah,
Now I'm on the turn here. There's a couple at the end of the turn. That is, there's a couple interesting names left that I have here. At wide receiver, Jamison Williams had a really good end to the season. I could go there. Marvin Harrison, still think there's a lot of upside there. But I think there's going to be enough wide receiver talent when we come back around. I've already got a couple wide receivers, and there's no running backs in this range I'm super excited about. There is a tight end I'm really excited about. Someone who had a really hot start to the season and kind of fell off after getting injured, obviously, in people's minds, and that's Tucker Craft. I think he's going to
mm.
be the focal point of this offense next year. He is my tight end 3 in redraft coming into the 2026 season. And I think here at the start of the fifth round, that's a really good value for him right there to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the premier receiving options at tight end in the league, and not to mention a great blocker as well. But he is so good after the catch. A big physical option at that position. I think that's a really good pick. I think he was my tight end 3 as well. Looks like Steve took Marvin Harrison Jr. shooting for that upside with that pick of the Cardinals wide receiver. I still believe in the talent. That's for sure. He's obviously a great player, so whether they can utilize him correctly and whether he can get the volume next to Trey McBride, who obviously had an otherworldly season at tight end. With my next pick, I'm going to go with Jamison Williams to lock down my second receiver spot. He absolutely had a great end of the season. Ended up putting over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. The epitome of a big play threat at the wide receiver position. And this Lions offense has been using him to perfection down the field as a deep threat consistently. So I'm super excited to add him as my boom or bust wide receiver too. I'll probably add another guy to really bolster the position down, but I think he's a great option.
Those are exactly the two wide receivers I was thinking about taking there when I decided on Kraft, so I can't blame either of you for taking them there. Two good high upside guys that could be very good wide receiver twos at the least and have wide receiver one upside in their profile as well. Right after Joe's pick here, it goes Loveland, AJ Brown, Cam Scattaboo, an interesting one. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Rome Odunze, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Walker, Travis Hunter, another interesting pick there. What will he be able to do? Lad McConkey. Then at the turn, Joe Burrow and Tyler Warren, the two onesies there, followed by a wide receiver run of Flowers, Metcalf, Smith, and Brian Thomas. Jackson Dart off the board here in the sixth round, followed by Justin Herbert, then Michael Pittman and Terry McLaurin. Yeah, that Cam Scattaboo pick, I have a hard time because he was electric when he was
Yes.
on the field early in the season, but that injury looked pretty bad. Don't know if that could sap some of his potential coming into this year. We saw similar injuries with other running backs. I think it was a broken ankle or leg or something like that, right? And
Yeah.
similar to
Some
like what Tony
dislocated,
Pollard
broken.
had a few years ago, that slowed him down. Yeah, is that somewhere where you'd be interested still in taking him in the fifth round there, Joe?
Yeah, I think I would take Scattaboo there. I mean, it was not only the electricity, but the volume that he was getting both on the ground and through the air. They were just feeding him carries. I had him on my fantasy team, so that was maybe a bit of a homer pick there. But he was fantastic when on the field, and if he gets even close to the amount of volume he was getting when he was healthy, and if he rehabs that injury well enough, I think he'll be worth a pick in the fifth. Um, With my sixth rounder, I'm going to go with a very under the radar wide receiver. Finished with over 1,000 yards again for the second straight season, 7 touchdowns. And he's on one of the best offenses in football. That's Cortland Sutton, the Denver Broncos. I think he goes under the radar a lot because he's not, the biggest play guy, but he's a good physical jump ball receiver. Bo Nix's number one target on a pretty solid offense, and he was a pretty consistent fantasy receiver throughout the season. And guy, I'm pretty comfortable plugging into my wide receiver 3 spot. He's going to give me more consistency compared to Jameson Williams' boom or bust potential. I think Sutton's just kind of a solid player you're comfortable taking around this spot.
Totally agree with him. If he made it to me, I think I was probably going to take Sutton there as well. I think it's fitting that him and McLaurin are going back to back in this
Mm,
mock draft. Both kind of similar players, potentially explosive offenses with young quarterbacks, a great deep upside, a lot of touchdown potential there with those two guys, and really they're the only wide receivers on their team, that the
yep,
real true number one wide receivers on their team. A little bit older, so people are less excited, but absolutely great wide receivers still there. You could even throw Michael Pittman, who was taken just before, into that as well. Maybe some more questions
yeah,
over in Indy there because of the Daniel
true.
Jones injury,
Hmm.
and maybe some more competition. Alec Pierce, Josh Downs there as well,
Yeah.
but still, those older wide receivers, I think they get undervalued a little bit in these drafts.
I tend to agree with you. There's a lot of situation that they can get thrown into. Like Terry is, when will Daniels be healthy? Sutton, there's always questions. People are always questioning if Bo Nix is really an elite starter. And Pittman, you don't know about the contract, the cap hit, if he'll be on the Colts next year. There's Alec Pierce there, but I think if you can sometimes look through those and take the good football player, if you know they're going to be on the team, I think it's a pretty solid pick.
And it looks like Joe's following it up here with another rookie, a couple rookies on his roster already. This time, Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver coming out of Texas A&M. Prospect I really like through this whole process. I'm excited to see where he goes in the draft. I think he could be a first round receiver back end of
Yeah,
the first round. And if he is, then this is probably a steal getting him at the back of the sixth round here.
for sure.
That was absolutely going to be my pick. So that spoiled me a little bit here. But still some interesting names on the board. I'm going to start it off here. I need a second running back. And I think that's where I'm going to go to start. Grab a running back in this range that I think is pretty steady. Chuba
Yeah,
Hubbard for the Panthers. This Panthers offense, I think, is very good. Dave Canales is a great play caller. Maybe Bryce Young isn't the quarterback of the future, but he steadied the ship enough to make them playoffs for the team this year
yeah,
in a spirited effort. I think Jonathan Brooks, there's just him coming back next year. There's just too many questions with those back-to-back ACL injuries.
agreed.
What's really invested him at this point? I like the prospect, but all those injuries are gonna sap some issues. And this team loves Chuba Hubbard. Rico Dowdle, a free agent again after this season. I think he'll have a market elsewhere, especially with Brooks coming back to fill out that running back room in Carolina. So I think Chuba Hubbard again could be a value in drafts this year. And after that, I'm just going to shoot for upside at the wide receiver position and take someone who wasn't really on the radar early in the season because of injuries, but had a great end of the season, and that's Christian Watson.
Yeah.
I know this gives me two Green Bay pass catchers. I think this offense is due for a positive regression next year. It's an offense I really believe in. And if Christian Watson can stay healthy, he absolutely has wide receiver one upside. It's part of why I was so excited about Matthew Golden coming into this past year. Watson was injured, hadn't proven any ability to stay healthy, and I really believe this Packers offense can have some big explosive plays, be a high scoring offense. So I want to buy into that offense.
No, I agree with both of those picks. I love the confidence in the Watson pick. I would agree. I think that's a position where he should go. Romeo Dubs is a free agent in this offense. I could see a world absolutely where Dubs doesn't come back and Watson really settles into that wide receiver one role. He was electric down the stretch that season once he came back from the ACL tear. And Hubbard as well. You think, first of all, I'm operating under the presumption that Rico Dowdle will sign elsewhere in free agency. It doesn't seem like much has come from the contract negotiations there. And people forget that they are paying Hubbard, so it's kind of hard for them to bring in another running back unless it's a very cheap deal. So I think those are two good picks. And then Steve goes with Harold Fannin at tight end. I think that's a very good pick. A rookie who was absolutely phenomenal this year. I know I have him pretty high up in my rankings as well. So I'm a big fan of that pick for him. I am going to go ahead and go with a running back here, a guy that I've been kind of lower on for years now, ever since his days in Philly. But I think he's in a good enough scheme where they can ask some of the issues, and that's DeAndre Swift, running back for the Chicago Bears. Um, a guy I've never really been high on before. I don't think he did a lot with what he was given in Philly as well, as long or with the offensive line he had, I should say. But he looked really good this season alongside Kyle Monungai. Got a lot of receiving work and was electric, especially in space. So he's my second flex.
I'm still a little scared that Ben Johnson sees some running back out there, either in free
Sure.
agency or in this draft, that is just his guy. There were lots of rumors of him trying to get running backs in the class last year. I think possibly trading up for Hampton at some point, and then definitely Henderson. He was rumored to be interested in. So I still have worries there, but absolutely, if the Bears don't bring in another running back, if they felt that Swift and Manga, that pairing, was enough, then yeah, this is a great pick here in the seventh round, getting that value at running back. All right, after Joe's pick, we went Zach Charbonnet, Caleb Williams, Jalen Warren, Jake Ferguson, the rookie Jadarian Price, followed by Rico Dowdle, Sam Laporta, Ricky Pearsall. Then at the turn, we had DJ Moore and Trevor Lawrence, followed by JCM, QJ, Mike Evans. Another rookie off the board here, my favorite wide receiver, Elijah Surratt. Sad to see him go. Luther Burden and Alec Pierce, some big risers over this season.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, and then another rookie wide receiver, Denzel Boston. This is a strong rookie wide receiver class, so you're going to see
Yeah.
a lot of wide receivers off the board. Anything stand out to you there, Joe?
Uh, Mainly the thing that stood out to me was my two guys I was looking at both getting picked right before me, and Trevor Lawrence is early in the round, but then Kyle Pitts sniped right before my pick. Alec Pierce and Luther Burden, two meteoric risers. I totally agree with at the wide receiver position. So really a strong round overall. I guess I'll take. I shouldn't call it the boring pick, but it feels like the boring pick. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. He's been consistently great when healthy, put up 30 touchdowns, 4,500 yards this year. This Cowboys offense is way better than their defense, I'll say that, but absolutely fantastic with him at the helm of the passing attack. If Pickens comes back in free agency, which I'm hoping he will, Prescott will again have two fantastic wide receivers to work with. I think he's a good quarterback.
Totally agree with that there. Once you get into this range, you're going to have to grab a QB. And Dak Prescott has just, every time he's healthy, he is a great QB. He's one of these just consistently underrated fantasy assets.
Mm-hmm.
He may not be the most exciting name, but he gets it done year in and year out. And now we see that Steve's gone with another rookie, this time running back Jonah Coleman. Very interesting running back, maybe a little bit risky or controversial here. He had some up and downs throughout college, but some pretty great production, especially in the receiving game. So
Yep.
with the right landing spot, I think that could be a very good pick there in at the
Yeah.
end of the eighth round, where we don't have a whole lot of guaranteed hits anymore. I'm going to take a guy that was a rookie this year at the running back position. I want to fill out this running back spot here with a couple picks. And that's Woody Marks. I'm not sure. I think that Houston will bring in someone at least to compete with Marks in the backfield. I think probably bring in a presumptive starter to join the backfield. I just don't know if Marks will be a starter for sure. But the upside of if Marks is the starter with his pass catching ability, if the Texans don't go out and sign someone big in free agency or acquire through the draft another running back, then this could be like a fifth round value on the turn going into the ninth. And that is
Yeah.
just way too much for me to give up there. And with my next pick on the turn here, I think I'm just going to keep going even for the rest of this draft, running back and wide receiver back and forth. I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk. It
Ooh.
was a awful season. The injury kept him out for the first half, and then that dispute with the 49ers that resulted in him leaving the team. I think he's just too talented. Wherever he goes, I think a ninth round pick. There's not a whole lot of sure things here, but when it comes to ceiling, I don't know if there's anyone with a higher ceiling left on the board than Ayuk.
Yeah, I like your Marks pick. Marks was one of my, guys highlighted all over my draft boards coming into the year. I thought he could end up in the position he is now as this Texans lead running back, and he's certainly done a good job of that. I think that's a good pick there. And Ayuk, not the guy I would have gone with. He's not super high in my rankings. I see you're aiming for the ceiling, and I think that's a great strategy. I just worry that we sometimes see guys in a similar situation and they're just not able to recover. I almost think of like a Deontay Johnson type of guy, but I like,
That's true.
absolutely has the talent to go back to that. So I think that's a pretty solid pick. Steve went with Bo Nix, locking down the quarterback position. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I picked Sutton, so hopefully Nix is going to be good. But I'm going to go. I like to fill out all my starting spots before moving to the bench usually, and I'm going to go ahead and take a guy a bit further down my board, my best tight end available, and that's Dallas Goddard, who had a career high, I believe, 11 touchdowns this year through the air. Still a huge part of this Eagles passing attack, and he is consistently just a pretty solid tight end to have as your starter, and I'm glad to plug him in with my last starting spot.
Absolutely, Goddard had a great season. If this Eagles offense can bounce back next year, then maybe it's even more upside for
Yep.
Goddard in the touchdown department there. All right. After Joe's pick there, we got Josh Downs, Bayshaw Tootin, David Montgomery, Jordan Addison. A rookie off the board here, our first rookie tight end. That's Kenyon Sadiq. Has some first round buzz around his name, followed
Yep.
by Dalton Kincaid, J.K. Dobbins, Brock Purdy. Then at the turn, a couple wide receivers in Jacoby Myers and Jaden Higgins. Stephon Diggs, Tony Pollard, Xavier Worthy, another rookie running back, Mike Washington Jr., one of my favorites. I definitely would have been considering him if he made it down to my pick. Then a quarterback run of Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. A couple teams in there taking their second quarterback in this one QB draft. And lastly, we've got Matthew Golden here. And that leads up into the 10th pick for Joe here.
Yeah, I went with Michael Wilson, wide receiver for the Cardinals. Kind of grouped in with that Alec Pierce, Luther Burden group of young wide receivers that really improved their stock with a strong back half of the season. He was every bit of that physical wide receiver. He was every bit of that physical wide receiver he was drafted out of Stanford to be. With Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the lineup, he really took advantage of the extra volume and was really great. And then Steve goes with Debo Samuel next pick. Just a solid, steady veteran producer. I think that's a solid pick here at the end of the 10th round.
Absolutely. Wilson, I've been a big proponent of him his whole career in the NFL.
Yeah.
Knew this breakout was possible, and now I might just be a little down on him because I don't know if the volume is going to be there next year once Marv is back. A lot of that success came when Marv missed a lot of time over the second half of the year. Even when he came back, I think he was the appendix, right, that he had removed.
I
Said he
believe so.
lost a lot of weight, wasn't able to maintain
Yeah.
his weight after that surgery. So I expect a strong Marv season, maybe to pull back on Wilson, but a lot of contingent value there with Wilson.
Sure.
Debo, I as a Washington fan, I don't think he's going to be back next year. The team's probably going to look to get younger, but that just means Debo's going to go somewhere that really wants him. We
Mhm.
saw last year he still has gas left in the tank, so
Yeah.
definitely a good pick there, I think, by Steve. Uh, this pick here for me, it's really hard to say. There's a lot of interesting names, and especially at this stage in the offseason, we don't know what's going to happen with teams yet, where guys are going to end up, where the rookies will end up. So I'm going to take a running back that I think has a ton of potential to be a huge riser during this offseason, and that is Tyler Algier. Uh, he has looked good. He had a great rookie season before the Falcons drafted Bijan Robinson. Obviously, lost the starting role to Bijan coming in. That great prospect he was. But he still made a good rollout for himself as a backup here for the Falcons. I think there's enough teams that are running back needy this offseason and not a whole lot of starting caliber running backs in the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a starting spot. Maybe the nightmare scenario here for me is that he signs with Houston, and both Woody Marks and Algier are just stealing from each other in this scenario for me. But in most other scenarios, I think I would be pretty happy. Do you have Algier around this range, Joe?
For sure, yeah. I think Algier may compete for a starting job next year wherever he goes in free agency. That's probably where I would have taken him.
I think I've got to go wide receiver here
Yeah,
again, going back and forth on my rankings. And you know what? I haven't taken a rookie yet, and I want to take a rookie. I'm so involved in that dynasty channel, I can't leave this redraft mock draft without a rookie, and I'm going to take Omar Cooper Jr. He hasn't actually even declared yet. There's a chance he doesn't declare. He's on that Indiana team that's in the national championship game this week. Uh, Absolutely great athlete, 6 foot, has good size for the slot receiver position, can play outside as well. It's his yards after the catch ability that's super exciting to me. Someone that does a whole lot once the ball is in his hands, breaks a lot of tackles, and can make things happen. I think there's a lot of NFL offenses out there that would be interesting in adding him with an early day two pick, maybe an early third round pick, but someone that could make an impact pretty early in their career.
yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a pretty solid rookie pick. And then Steve follows it up with Emmett Johnson, running back out of Nebraska. The do it all, scrimmage yard getting running back. I think he's a pretty solid prospect. Obviously, very involved as a rusher and a receiver. Questions about the athleticism there, but a very good player nonetheless. And then I'm going to go with a guy I'm just really not sure about. Had a really down year this season, but I'll take him for the upside. That's Alvin Kamara. He's been good in the past. I can't say no to him here in the 11th round. Just putting him on my bench, see if he can tap into that former glory.
Absolutely. I don't know where to put Kamara at this point. Those young running backs on the Saints have made like some noise, but it
Mm,
hasn't been an obvious this guy's the future. I don't know what's going to happen with Kamara, but hey, he's got that pass catching upside late in drafts like this. I think he's absolutely still worth a flyer.
yeah.
All right. After Joe's pick there, we had James Conner, Troy Franklin, Tajay Spears, Trey Benson, Rashid Shaheed, Braylon Allen, Matt Stafford, finally, possibly an MVP season, Matt Stafford, Adonai Mitchell, and then at the turn, Tyron Tracy, Jawan Jennings, followed by Aronde Gadsden, that great rookie tight end, breakout for the Chargers, Alec Iomanner, Jaden Reed, Wandale Robinson, Kyle Monongai, and then we had Parker Washington, Chris Godwin, and Ramondre Stevenson. Joe, I know a couple of those guys are your late round targets right now.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a mock draft if you didn't get that draft season snipe ahead of you, right?
Correct. You are absolutely right. Specifically, Ramondre and Parker Washington were two guys I was ready to take with that next pick. Manungai, Wandale Robinson, Gadsden, guys I like as well, went in that round. But I ended up settling on Jalen Coker, a really underrated addition for this Panthers offense. He obviously had a great playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams. Put up well over 100 yards with a touchdown as well. And he was a pretty solid wide receiver when he came back from injury this season. A very good route runner. I think he's going to emerge as the wide receiver two for this offense. Steve ended up going with Chris Bell, who was a really great athlete at wide receiver. Suffered an ACL tear late in the college season, but a ridiculous blend of size and speed.
Interesting pick there. Chris Bell coming off that injury. A lot of upside, had that talk as like a first round prospect. And then that torn ACL kind of put a damper on his prospects. Absolutely, but still an interesting prospect nonetheless.
Yeah.
I've got the last pick here in this draft that we're going to cover. And looking at my roster, it's very balanced. I've got good balance across the roster. But I think wide receiver, since this is a three wide receiver league, that's where I could really use that extra little bit of depth. And I'm between two guys here. Kyle Williams for the Patriots. I still think he's got a lot of upside, just needed that 1 year to acclimate to the NFL, take a flyer on him, or re-roll with a new rookie, Jacoby Lane.
Hmm.
Deciding between those two are hard, but I was just so high on Kyle Williams coming into this season that I think I've just got to take him there.
Good
Had
pick.
a disappointing season, but it seemed like every time he got a chance to touch the ball, it was a touchdown. And that's what you
Yeah.
get with Kyle Williams, a whole lot of upside. So I'm going to take a bet on Drake May finding him more next year
Yeah.
and maybe that year to break out from the receiver there.
Hope you guys enjoyed this 2026 redraft mock draft with our three analysts, myself, Calvin, and Steve. Let us know what you think of our teams in the comments, which of the three of us had the best team drafted. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this all off season. We also have a Dynasty channel running up if you want to subscribe to that as well. But that's all we got for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video.